Assalamualaikum and good day to you, Dr. Shah. My name is Amir Farid bin Amir Mustafa, and I will introduce to you about our topic for today, which is Marxism and the historical context and also the application in international relations. But before we start, let us imagine a world where international relations are not just about powerful countries vying for territory or security. But what if the key factor was something deeper that shaped the very fabric of society? Now that's the lens Marxism offers. By analyzing international dynamics through the struggle between the rich and the poor, the have and the have-not. So Marxism was born in the fiery chimney of the Industrial Revolution that emerged as a critique of capitalism. It argued that societies progress through the clash between classes, as we know that we have the wealthy capital owner, known as bourgeoisie, exploiting the labor of the working class, or known as proletariat. This dynamic, Marx believed, was not confined to factories. It spilled over into the world stage. So, how does this class struggle play out internationally? Well, Marxism claimed the very powerful nation benefiting from capitalism and dominate the weaker ones. They extract resources and also cheap labor, creating a system of rich core countries and exploited periphery states. This line challenges traditional view of international relations, focusing not just on military might or national interest, but on the underlying economic structure that shape the global power dynamic. So in the next coming minute, we will deliver into this core Marxist idea, economic determinism, class conflict on a global scale, and the potential for international worker solidarity. We will also explore this powerful yet controversial theory, strength and limitation.
Thank you very much, dear Farid. Hello, everyone. My name is FAZAHIA. Let me bring you to our main point of today's agenda. So, let's dive into the term economic determinism in Marxism theory, class conflict, and we will heading into the world system analysis. In Marxism theory, economic determinism perceives that the primary driver of international politics in the economic structure of society. This perspective suggests that the mode of production or a way goods and services are produced and distributed within a society fundamentally shapes its political and social dynamic. Economic determinism in Marxism emphasizes the centrality of economic factor in shaping international relations. View conflict and alliance between the states as an expression of underlying economic contradiction inherent in capitalist societies. According to Marxism, the economic system of a society determines the class structure with conflict interests between the ruling class, bourgeoisie, and the working class proletariat. This class struggle is seen as the engine of a historical change. In the international arena, this struggle extends beyond national borders, shaping the interaction between states. Furthermore, Marxism theory suggests that the economic interests of a ruling elites heavily influence the foreign policy decision. States are seen as instruments of capitalist class interests pursuing policy that serve the need of the dominant economic class within their borders. In the world system theory, which has roots in Marxist analysis, the concept of the core and periphery refer to hierarchical division of the global economy into dominant and subordinate regions. The core countries, typically advanced capitalist nations, control and exploit the periphery comprised of less developed countries for resources, labor, and markets. From Marxist perspective, this relationship between the core and periphery is driven by the imperative of capitalism. Core nations, with their advanced technologies, capital, and industrial infrastructure, dominate the global economic system. Hence, they extract resources and exploit cheap labor, from the periphery to fuel their own economic growth and maintain their privileged position in international division of labor. Overall, economic determinism in Marxism emphasizes the centrality of economic factors in shaping international relations, viewing conflict and alliance between states an expression of underlying economic contradiction inherent in capitalist societies. According to him, labor is the main source of value generation. That's all for me. I'll present to you Mr. Israel for the next slide. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your great explanation, Miss Faza. Assalamualaikum. Hello, class. The name is IZRUL ZAHIN, and I am ready to grab your attention. Buckle up. We are here to dissect three concepts that expose the dark sides of capitalism, the potential for worker solidarity, and the challenges that stand in the way. First, imperialism is the ugly side of capitalism. Marxism does not shy away from the dark side of capitalism. This is where powerful countries use their economic and military muscle to dominate and control weaker nations. They might do this by setting up colonies, forcing unfair trade deals, or even resorting to military intervention. The goal? It is to access resources and cheap labor, further enriching the core at the expense of the periphery. This concept challenges traditional view of colonialism as a mere quest for territory or adventure, instead exposing the economic motivation behind it. Then, we could see workers of the world unite. It is not all doom and gloom. Marxism offers a vision of hope, proletarian internationalism. This idea suggests that workers of all nations share a common enemy, the capitalist system that exploits them. Despite different nationalities or languages, they have the same struggles: low wages, poor working conditions, and a lack of power. So, by recognizing this shared experience, workers across the globe can unite against capitalism. Marx believed this could initiate a global revolution, overthrowing the capitalist system and creating a more egalitarian world order. Lastly, we look at why workers don't always unite. There is a hurdle to this worker solidarity though. Marx called it false consciousness. The idea is that many working class people are unaware of their exploitation under capitalism. They might identify more with their national identity or even believe they can become wealthy by themselves. This false consciousness prevents them from seeing the bigger picture and uniting with workers from other countries. What's more, Marxists argue that education and class consciousness raising movement are crucial to overcoming this obstacle. We have explored the complex interplay of power, exploitation, and worker unity within Marxism. After all, by understanding this concept, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of international relations and the ongoing struggle for a more equitable global order. That will conclude my section. Please give a warm welcome for Miss Ina to take over this stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Izrul, for the main point of the Marxism theory. Hi all, I'm MASTURINA. I will share the analysis of the theory. First of all, I will explain the strength of the theory, which is bringing economics to the table. It means something that brings a benefit. Marxism like a seasoned analysis. One of the biggest strengths is putting economic front and center in international relations. We are not just talking about national pride or military. It is about material conditions that are resources, trade, and access to capital, the engine that drive how countries interact. Imagine countries as a giant corporation that are competing for resources on a global scale. Marxism reminds us that these economic factors have profound impact on global power dynamics. It adds the whole new layer of understanding to the complex web of international relations. Marxism criticism focuses on class struggle that divide into two groups, which is bourgeoisie, the class middle class, and the proletariat, social class that has no significant ownership. Marxism argues that it will spill over onto the world stage, shaping how nations interact and understanding the tension and power imbalance that exists between the countries. Okay, let's move to the second analysis, which is the weakness of the theory. Now, Marxism is not without its critics. Some argue it is a bit of one-track mind. While economics is undeniably important, the world is not just about money and resources, but is also involved in culture, history, and ideology that all play a role in shaping international relations. A nation might go to war not just for resources, but to defend its cultural identity or historical territory. Marxism, with its heavy emphasis on class conflict, might have missed this other crucial factor. Plus, it focused heavily on class division and potentially overlooking other sources of social tension, like ethnicity or religion. Lastly, the relevance of the theory is a critical lens for our globalized world. Despite this limitation, Marxism remains highly relevant. It offers a critical perspective on the often unequal power structure in global politics. By highlighting the exploitation of developing nations by the core, it challenged the status quo and sparked important discussion about alternative models for the international relations. In today's interconnected world, with issues like worker migration and global supply chains, Marxism focuses on class dynamics that remain valuable. It helps us to understand the complex web of relationships that bind us together. We can conclude that class struggle might not be the only factor at play on this theory. Thanks for listening. Now let's move to ATIQAH for the impact of the theory on industrial relations.
Thank you, Miss Ina. Hello everyone, I am ATIQAH binti SHUIB. Today we will delve into the impact of Marxism towards international relations. Marxism is a socio-political and economic theory that has had a profound impact on the way we understand the world, including the field of international relations, IR. Marxism emphasizes the importance of power and exploitation in understanding international relations. It challenges traditional IR theories that focus on states as rational actors pursuing national interests. Instead, Marxism argues that international politics is shaped by the struggle between different social classes, with the wealthy and powerful exploiting the labor of the working class across borders through international trade and investment. Marxism offers valuable insights into understanding global issues like development, global trade, and international inequality. It argues that capitalism inherently creates an unequal global system, with developed countries exploiting resources from labor from developing countries. Marxism calls for a more just and equitable distributions of resources, with a focus on meeting the needs of all people around the world. Marxism sheds light on class-based social movements around the world. These movements fight for the rights of workers and challenge the power of the capitalist class. Marxism also highlights the potential for international worker solidarity, where workers from different countries can unite to challenge global capitalism and create a more just world order. By sharing experiences and strategies, workers can exert greater pressure on corporations and governments to address their concerns. So by understanding power dynamics through a Marxist lens, we can see how economic structures and class relations influence international politics. Marxism offers insights into how we can work towards a more just world order that reduces inequality and exploitations. I shall pass next slide to my teammates. Thank you.
I will now continue with the Soviet Union. Founded in Marxist-Leninist principles, profoundly shaped its foreign policy. Central to its approach was the promotion of global proletarian revolutions and the spread of socialism. This was evident in its support for communist parties worldwide and its influence in Eastern Europe, where it established satellite states to create a buffer zone against capitalist encroachment. The USSR's foreign policy was also characterized by its ideological rivalry with the United States during the Cold War. This period saw significant proxy wars, military alliances like the Warsaw Pact, and an arms race, all aimed at countering Western's capitalist influence. The Soviet Union's commitment to Marxism also led to substantially economic and military support for developing countries that align with socialist ideals. This ideological stance positions in USSR as counterbalance to capitalist powers, fundamentally altering the dynamics of international relations throughout the 20th century. Next is China's international strategy and economic policies that have been deeply influenced by Marxist theory, especially since the establishment of People's Republic of China in 1949 under Mao Zedong. Initially, China adopted a Soviet-style planned economy, focusing on rapid industrialization and collectivization. However, after Mao's death, Deng Xiaoping introduced significant economic reform while maintaining the Marxist-Leninist political framework. This blend of socialism with market elements, known as socialism with Chinese characteristics, propelled China into becoming a global economic powerhouse. On the international stage, China has used Marxist principles to justify its support for other socialist countries and movements, as well as its strategic partnership in the developing world. China's Belt and Road Initiative, although economically driven, can also be seen as an effort to expand its influence in line with its socialist and developmental ideals, reshaping global trade and international relations in the process. Let's continue with Marxism pros and cons. Marxism provides a critical alternative to traditional international relations theories like realism and liberalism. It emphasized the role of economic factors in shaping global relations, highlighting how economic interests and class struggles drive state behavior and international conflicts. This perspective is particularly useful for analyzing global inequalities and power structures, as it exposed the ways in which capitalist economies exploit developing nations, perpetuating the cycle of dependency and underdevelopment. By focusing on these economic underpinnings, Marxism offers a unique lens through which understand imperialism, colonialism, and the global distributions of wealth and power. However, Marxism can be overly deterministic and reductionist, often reducing complex international phenomena to mere economic variables. This can lead to an oversimplified view that overlooks cultural, ideological, and political factors. Additionally, Marxist theory may not fully account for the intricacies and dynamics of modern international relations, such as the rise of non-state actors and transnational issues like climate change. In practice, the application of Marxist principles often faces significant challenges. Historical attempts to implement Marxist policies have sometimes resulted in economic inefficiencies and authoritarianism, highlighting the difficulties in translating theories into practice. Before we go to the conclusion, let's recap a little bit of points shared by my teammates. Main point of Marxism is using economic and strong military power to dominate weaker states, which bring impact to the world with the idea of developing country, international inequality, and global trade within countries. However, this theory has its own weaknesses too, where Marxists will ignore non-economic factors such as culture. So to conclude, Marxism provides a unique lens for analyzing international relations through the concept of class struggle and economic structures. While debated, its focus on power imbalances and exploitation remains relevant in today's globalized world. We briefly mentioned that Marxism offers alternative visions for international relations beyond the capitalist model. Examples could include socialist internationalism or focus on global worker cooperation. In short, Marxism or Marxist focuses on economic materialist growth of their capital rather than gaining power through war, like realists, or mutual equality in human rights, like liberal thinker. That is all from us. Thank you.